a lot of money, maybe not enough or maybe too late, but money is now going into the Stop Trump movement, including this ad that is running. It's by a PAC that it has as its director a former Romney campaign operative who I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, was in the Jeb Bush camp. But Donald Trump, these are Donald Trump's words, but not being spoken by Donald Trump.
Bimbo. Dog. Fat pig.
Real quotes from Donald Trump about women.
A person who is very flat-chested is very hard to be a 10.
I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers.
Look at that face. Would anyone vote for that?
Will it work with Republican primary voters?
There's reason to believe it would have worked in Florida had that ad started running a month and a half ago and not 3 weeks before the Florida primary. There was evidence that suggested the polling would have started to shift a little bit away from Trump.
So I do agree with everyone here that the anti-Trump movement started too late. It probably is too late. However, I do think it's worth pointing out, and you can roll your eyes if you want, that this effort has gotten a little bit more sophisticated, and it has gotten more textured. I mean, not only are they just talking about stopping Trump, not only are they talking about how to stop Trump at a contested convention, they're also, interestingly, talking about how to talk about a contested convention and stopping him if he gets there without the 1237 delegates, without making it seem like the GOP is suddenly denying him a nomination that he is owed, that it is on him, it is his responsibility to get him there, because the chaos that could result if it does seem like the party is simply taking from Trump what he is owed, I think that you can't really overstate that.
At the same time, there has been a tremendous amount of indecision, not only about starting a Stop Trump movement, but then within the Stop Trump movement. Well, we can't say that we should all rally behind Ted Cruz because we don't want to hurt John Kasich's feelings. And we should have a third-party candidate, but we're not really going to rally around anyone in a serious way. There are a lot of meetings and a lot of phone calls, but decisions are not being made quickly enough.
I think we're still pretty far out from in terms of the third-party candidate thing. I don't think you're going to see that until you see Donald Trump as a nominee, for one. So that's going to take a while, and it's not going to be, as my colleagues reported today, that is less about we can win all 50 states than we can go into key states, and particularly states where there are Senate races where Republicans are worried about, and try to run a candidate who could appeal, where there could be enough ticket splitting where it's not going to be a problem. I agree with MJ. I do think that there is still plenty of runway for folks. It is, however, a problem of a lack of a consistent message. So I was looking at that ad with the women talking. That was one of several ads that were aired. I mean, one of the problems in Florida was you had something like 5 different ads going against him, all of which said the same thing. The most effective, a lot of Republican strategists have said so far, is the one that was very much like the ads run against Mitt Romney in 2012 that featured a student from Trump University basically just as a testimonial saying, my money was robbed.